So, you've made your perfect character, and your merry band of misfits is exploring the countryside trying to track down a legendary monster. But that's when it happens. The monster ambushes you, biting down onto the barbarian as he swings wide while the monster retreats away, barely missing it. The cleric fires off a spell, just barely hitting the monster. Now it glows bright, making it easier to hit. The rogue dashes into the tree line, lining up a shot from the shadows, hitting the monster square in the side. And Greg, the wizard, well, he was a little slow getting into combat, so the monster was able to land a critical hit on him, and our poor squishy wizard is now unconscious in the mud. Better luck next time, Greg. Now, what just happened? Like a sports commentator, we're about to hit you with a hard-hitting instant replay to go over that round of combat that we just witnessed. I'm going to give you a simple step-by-step guide so you can better understand the flow of combat, along with what you can actually do on your turn and how to land that first glorious strike. I know it's scary, but we're going to take that flight and turn it to fight as we walk through your first D&D combat so you can become a hero and not a casualty. Greg. Hey there, I'm Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. And before you can swing an axe or sling a spell, we need to bring some order to the chaos here. That entire whirlwind of a fight we were just talking about, it's actually broken down into little sections, we'll call them. Each round is broken down into about 6 seconds of real-time action. In each round, everyone gets a turn to figure out what they do during that round. But a very important question is, who goes first? That is decided by initiative, and this is going to be the first thing that everyone does when combat breaks out. Everyone involved in the battle, player and monster alike, roll a d20 and add their dexterity modifier or their initiative bonus. They're one and the same. You can find that on your character sheet, and it just generally represents how quickly your character can jump into the action at a moment's notice. You take that d20 roll, add your bonus to it, and the DM writes down all of the numbers together, highest going first, then second, then third, so on and so forth. That order is now locked in for the whole fight, unless another wave of goblins show up. Then best of luck. Now, sometimes one side gets the drop on the other. In our case, the monster was able to ambush the party. This is called surprise. If your party has managed to sneak around like they're all Solid Snake, or if a whole bunch of goblins jump out of the bushes without you guys even noticing, your DM will often say one side has been surprised. If you're surprised, you are so caught off guard that you're gonna have to roll your initiative at disadvantage, meaning you'll roll 2d20, and sadly you're taking the lowest of the two. It's absolutely a huge advantage for the side that's doing the surprising, so it pays to keep your eyes open. Invest in your perception, kids. It's a good idea. Okay, initiative order is set, and DM turns to you. It's your turn. In D&D 5th edition, you have 4 resources that you can tap into on your turn. Your movement, your action, your bonus action, and your reaction. Action, 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 action. So let's break those down. Before we get ahead of ourselves, if you're a fan of D&D and awesome storytelling, we're trying to build a wonderful community of like-minded people and would love to have you join the table with us. Hit that subscribe button and your next death save is going to be a nat 20. You heard it here first. Now let's get back into combat. First, you have your movement. Your character sheet lists your speed. This is often denoted by an amount and the amount of feet you can move in a turn. For most of you guys, it's going to be 30 feet, unless you're a monk. Then you're running around the battle map like Usain Bolt. You can use all of it, or some of it, or none of it. But here's the game-changing part. You can split up your movement. You can move 15 feet up from the pillar, take your action, and then move 15 feet back. This flexibility is your friend. For my ranged friends out there, use it to pop out and take a shot diving back into cover, or run up to an enemy to attack, or retreat back to find a safer spot. Movement isn't about just getting around. It's the key to controlling the battlefield. Second, you get one action. This is the main event of your turn. It's your verb, it's what you're doing. More times than not, it's the most important thing that you do during your turn. There's a big list of possible actions you can take, but for right now, we're going to focus on the big ones. This is where you can make your attack action or cast a spell. Third, you might get a bonus action. This is critical because you don't always get access to a bonus action. Most classes do have something, but sometimes you're just kind of out of luck. You can only take one if a spell, class feature, or some other specific instance says that you can use something as a bonus action. For example, a rogue might use their cunning action to hide as a bonus action. This is what our rogue friend used earlier to fire his arrow at the monster. Or a spell may have a casting time of 1 bonus action. If nothing you have says as a bonus action, then it doesn't look like you have one this turn, but it's not the end of the world, it is totally normal. Finally, there's our last little piece of the puzzle, the reaction. You get one of these per round, and the cool thing is you can use it when it's not even your turn. A reaction is an instant response to a trigger of some kind. The most common example is an attack of opportunity. If an enemy is standing toe-to-toe with you and they try and run away, you get the opportunity to take the swipe at them while they retreat. They are obviously so scared of how strong and powerful and smart and charismatic you are. They totally aren't planning your downfall by moving away, allowing their wizard to drop a fireball on the party. You should get that guy. Take him out now, please. So, quick recap, you get your movement, your action, you may get a bonus action, and you have your reaction that you can use when it isn't your turn. Understanding that is the foundation of being a badass hero. So, you get an action, but what do you do with it? The sheer number of choices can certainly give you analysis paralysis. Let's make it simple. For your first combat, you only need to ask yourself one multi-part question. Do I want to hit something, cast some magic, or play it safe? This boils down to 3 main actions: attack, cast a spell, and dodge. The action is as straightforward as it gets. You attack with your weapon and try and hit something. For a lot of classes, this is going to be your go-to. This is your bread and butter. You just declare what you're attacking and roll to hit. It's simple, effective, and a fantastic way to contribute. The cast a spell option is for our magic slingers. Your character sheet will have a list of spells that you can use at any time. Look at the spell's description and you'll see a casting time. This will say 1 action. So for 1 action, you can make the spell effect happen. Spells can do anything from launching a fireball through the air to mending someone's wounds to turning an enemy to an ally. Your spells are powerful and versatile, but keep track of your spell slots. It's a limited resource, so you can run out of them quick. The third action, straight out of the Survivor's Toolkit, is the dodge action. Often forgot about, the dodge action just states that you are making it your goal to not get hit. Until your next turn, any attacks made against you will have disadvantage. That means the enemies roll twice and take the lower roll. So when would you use this? Wouldn't it be more optimal to attack? Kind of, yeah, but just hear me out for a sec. Imagine you're blocking a narrow doorway from a horde of zombies hell-bent on getting to poor old Greg, who the cleric's trying to wake back up. Your job isn't to kill them all, but it's to at least survive for the next 6 seconds. Dodging is a brilliant tactical move when the main goal isn't damage, but more not taking it. There are a few other actions that you'll often see, like the dash action, allowing you to take your whole action to move your entire movement again. You also have the disengage action. This allows you to get out of an enemy's melee range without them getting a swing at you. You are sacrificing your action, but in a pinch, sometimes you need it. And there's the help action, if your buddy just needs a little bit of assistance in a situation. But don't feel like you need to memorize the whole list. For your first fight, just ask, should I attack, cast a spell, or dodge? You've decided to attack. Awesome. Let's show this monster who's boss. It's a simple 2-step process. Roll to see if you hit. If you do, roll those damage die. To see if you connect, roll your d20 and add your attack bonus. This number is usually on your sheet right next to your weapon of choice. It's calculated adding your proficiency bonus, which goes up as you level up, and your main attack stat with the weapon you're using. Generally, strength for melee weapons and dexterity for ranged ones. Take that d20 roll, add in your bonus, and shout it at the DM. Not too loud though, let's not scare the DM. They've got a lot going on, they're trying to handle a lot of things, but they will compare your total to the enemy's AC or armor class. AC is the number to meet or beat. If your total is equal to or higher than the enemy's AC, guess what? You hit. If it's lower, however, you miss. You have failed. No, I'm just kidding. The whole previous video was about how failure's awesome, so don't worry, you'll have another chance. Simple as that. Now, if you roll a natural 20, now we're in business. That's a critical hit. It automatically hits and you get to do some extra damage. We love nat 20s. On the flip side, there's the natural 1. This is going to be called a critical miss. More times than not, it's going to fail. Unless the enemy has really low AC, but even then, you don't feel good about hitting on a 1. Those are the highs and lows, guys. The dice gods can be giving and the dice gods can be cruel. Gotta go with the flow and see where the dice take you. So you hit. Let's see how much it stings. You'll roll the damage die listed for your weapon, generally in the same area where you found it before with your attack bonus. A longsword, for example, does a d8 of damage. You'll roll that d8 and add in your strength modifier. And that final number is how much damage you do. The DM will subtract it from the enemy's hit points until eventually it hits 0 and guess what? You guys win. Maybe you'll level up. No, you won't. Maybe you'll level up. No, you won't. And that's it. You've made an attack. Roll a d20 to hit. If you do, roll some dice for damage. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're a hero.
Get your money, man. Life goes on.
Hopeful. Yes, I am hopeful for today.
I mean, how are you supposed to see the goblin that was hiding behind you? So let's address the elephant in the room. If you can take down the enemy's health, they can take down yours. Your character has a pool of hit points, or HP. When you take damage, you lose HP. But what happens when you hit 0? You end up like Greg. When your HP hits 0, you fall unconscious and are considered down. But this is the important part. You are not dead. Not yet, at least. At the start of each of your turns, while your health is at 0 HP, you have to make a special roll called a death saving throw. Think of it as your character towing the fine line between life and death, fading in and out. It's just a straight d20 roll. No modifiers, no bonuses. If you roll a 10 or higher, you succeed. If you roll a 9 or lower, that's a fail. Your goal is to collect 3 successes before 3 failures. 3 successes, your character becomes stable. You're no longer making death saves, you are still unconscious, you just aren't dying anymore. 3 failures and your character's dead, for real this time. There's magic to bring you back, but it's pretty few and far between. These don't have to be in a row either, which makes it incredibly tense. I use a special rule at my table where only the player and the DM know if it's a success or a failure. This turns the tension of someone going down to 11 because now the party doesn't know if Greg has 2 successes or 2 failures. We may never see Greg again. We need to go help Greg. There are 2 special cases when it comes to death saving throws. If you get a natural 20, you pop right back up at 1 HP, but that's 1 HP in a dream, baby. You're back in the fight. But if you roll a natural 1, that counts as 2 failures on your sheet. Likewise, taking any damage while you're unconscious, that's another failure on the sheet. And if that damage is a critical hit, that is 2 failures. So absolutely yell at your friends to get those goblins off your unconscious body. Your friends can still save you by providing you healing magic or using a healer's kit to help stabilize you. But knowing your character's life hangs in the balance based off of a couple of die rolls, that is what makes D&D so exhilarating. So remember, even when you're down, you're not out. So when that monster of the week is snarling in your face, remember the 3 keys to survival. First, use your movement like a tactical genius. Don't just charge in there in a straight line. Use cover and positioning to your advantage. Second, Know your action. Know when to attack, when to use a powerful spell, or know when to play it safe and take the dodge action. And don't forget to use those bonus actions, because sometimes they can save the day. Combat in Dungeons & Dragons looks intimidating from the outside, but it will become second nature before you know it. Never ever be afraid to ask your DM questions in regards to how an action will play out or if you want to use a spell in an interesting way. This isn't a math test, there isn't a right or wrong answer. You made this hero, now you have the tools to make them heroic. Now you're ready. Roll initiative. What was your first D&D combat like? Tell me about your character and what happened in the comments below. The good, the bad, the ugly. I love reading those stories. And if this guide helped you feel a little bit more confident about your first combat encounter, be sure to subscribe for more tips that will help you on your next adventure. Now get out there, go roll some dice, and forge a legend. I've been Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. I'll see you all at the table.